Moses, from the river to the promise. What if the greatest leader in history began as a child sentenced to die? What if fear, failure, and doubt were the very tools God used to shape a deliverer? This is the story of Moses, the man who stood before kings, parted seas, and walked with God. Long ago, in a land called Egypt, the people of Israel lived as slaves. They were once honored guests. But over time, fear turned their blessing into bondage. A new Pharaoh rose to power, one who did not remember Joseph. And he saw the Israelites not as people, but as a threat. So he made a cruel decree. Every Hebrew baby boy must be thrown into the Nile River. Fear spread through the land. Mothers wept. Fathers trembled. Hope seemed lost. But even in the darkest moments, God was already working. A Hebrew woman named Jochebed gave birth to a son, and when she looked at him, she saw something special. She refused to let fear decide his fate. For 3 months, she hid him, but when she could hide him no longer, she made a desperate plan. She placed him in a basket, sealed it, and set it gently among the reeds of the Nile River. Imagine the moment, a mother releasing her child, not knowing what would happen next, trusting God with everything. Nearby, the baby's sister Miriam watched from a distance. Then something unexpected happened. Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe in the river. She saw the basket, opened it, and heard the baby crying. And her heart softened. Instead of death, the child found mercy. She named him Moses, drawn out of the water. And in a twist only God could orchestrate, Moses was raised in Pharaoh's palace, but nursed and loved by his own mother. Moses grew up as royalty. He wore fine clothes. He learned the ways of Egypt. He lived in luxury. But deep inside, he knew the truth. He was not Egyptian. He was Hebrew. And one day, everything changed. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. Anger rose within him. Justice burned in his heart. And in a moment of impulse, Moses killed the Egyptian. He buried the body in the sand, thinking no one saw. But the next day, when he tried to break up a fight between two Hebrews, one of them said, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you going to kill me too?" Moses realized his secret was out. Pharaoh heard about it and wanted Moses dead. So Moses fled. Moses went from prince to fugitive, from palace to desert. He traveled far until he reached a land called Midian. There, he met a priest named Jethro, married his daughter Zipporah, and became a shepherd. Years passed. The man who once dreamed of justice now lived a quiet life, tending sheep. It seemed like his purpose had been lost, but God had not forgotten him. One ordinary day, while Moses was tending his flock, he saw something extraordinary. A bush on fire, but not burning up. Curious, he stepped closer. Then a voice called out, "Moses, Moses." "Here I am," he answered. "Do not come any closer," the voice said. "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." It was God. God told Moses he had seen the suffering of his people in Egypt. He had heard their cries. And he had come to deliver them. Then came the unexpected. "I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people out of Egypt." Moses was stunned. "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?" He doubted himself. What if they don't believe me? He feared rejection. "I am not good with words." He felt inadequate. But God answered every excuse. "I will be with you. I will give you the words. I will show my power." Reluctantly, Moses said yes. Egypt with his brother Aaron. Standing before Pharaoh, he declared, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh's heart was hard. "Who is this God that I should obey him?" he scoffed. Instead of releasing the Israelites, Pharaoh made their work even harder. The people grew angry at Moses. Everything seemed worse. But God had a plan. God began to demonstrate his power through a series of plagues. Water turned to blood. Frogs filled the land. Gnats, flies, and disease spread. Livestock died. Boils afflicted people. Hail destroyed crops. Locusts devoured what remained. Darkness covered Egypt. Each time, Pharaoh refused to let the people go. Until the final plague, God said that every firstborn in Egypt would die, unless protected. He instructed the Israelites to sacrifice a lamb and mark their doorposts with its blood. That night, death passed through Egypt. But where the blood was present, it passed over. Pharaoh finally broke. "Go," he said. "Leave this land." The Israelites left Egypt, free at last. But freedom came with fear. Pharaoh changed his mind and chased them with his army. The people were trapped, mountains on one side, the Red Sea on the other, and Pharaoh behind them. They panicked. "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us here to die?" But Moses stood firm. "Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord." Then God did the impossible. The sea parted. Walls of water rose on both sides. The people walked through on dry ground. When Pharaoh's army followed, the waters returned, and they were gone. The Israelites were free, but not yet home. They wandered through the wilderness. They faced hunger, and God provided manna from heaven. They faced thirst, and water flowed from a rock. They faced battles, and God gave victory. But they also complained. They doubted. They forgot. Still, God remained faithful. At Mount Sinai, God called Moses up the mountain. There, he gave him the 10 Commandments, laws to guide his people. It was a sacred moment. But while Moses was gone, the people grew impatient. They made a golden calf and worshipped it. When Moses returned and saw this, his heart broke. But even in failure, God showed mercy. He renewed his covenant. Moses led the people for 40 years, through trials, through rebellion, through miracles. But because of one act of disobedience, he was not allowed to enter the promised land. Still, God gave him a final gift. He allowed Moses to see it. From a mountain, Moses looked out over the land God had promised. Then, at the end of his journey, Moses died, not in defeat, but in fulfillment. He had done what God called him to do. Moses' story is not just about miracles. It's about transformation. A baby marked for death became a deliverer. A fugitive became a leader. A man full of doubt became a voice of God. His life reminds us, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. If this story inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs hope today. And remember, no matter where you are in life, whether you feel lost, afraid, or unworthy, God can still use you for something greater. Subscribe for more powerful Bible stories. and let faith grow in your heart every single day. Because your story might just be the next miracle waiting to happen.